Imagine a newborn baby, already considered a criminal. Its very first breath is a crime. His life is a secret, already in danger. But this baby would rise to become the hope of an entire nation. This is the story of young Moses. Not the Moses with the long beard and the tablets. No, this is the young Moses, the baby who was born to change the world. It all began in Egypt. At first, Egypt had welcomed the Jewish people. But now, things had changed. Pharaoh the king turned them into slaves. Brick after brick, day after day, their cries rose up to the sky, and Pharaoh saw something else. The Jews were still growing in number, strong, unbreakable. He feared them. And when Pharaoh feared someone, he destroyed them. Then came a warning from his stargazers. A baby boy is about to be born, one who will free the Jewish people and bring down Egypt. Pharaoh panicked. So he made a terrible decree. Every Jewish baby boy must be thrown into the Nile River. What about the girls? They were to be kept alive and brought up like Egyptians. Families were heartbroken. Some gave up hope entirely. One righteous man, Amram, the leader of the Jewish people at the time, made a painful decision. He divorced his wife, Jochebed. Why should we bring more children into a world like this, he said. Pharaoh kills the boys. But his daughter, young Miriam, stood up to him. Father, she said, your decree is even harsher than Pharaoh's. He only said the boys should die, but you're stopping even the girls from being born. At least give life a chance. Amram saw the truth in her words. He remarried Jochebed, and soon after, a baby boy was born. But this was no ordinary baby. When Jochebed gave birth, the house filled with light. It was as if the heavens themselves were glowing. She knew he was special. She and Amram were from the tribe of Levi, and both were righteous, brave, and wise. Jochebed had another name too, Shiphrah, the midwife, and Miriam was known as Puah. The Egyptians called them these names, but they were heroes to the Jewish people, risking their lives to help deliver babies, hiding them from the Egyptian soldiers. Jochebed hid the baby boy for 3 months, but eventually she couldn't keep him hidden anymore, so she did the unthinkable. She took a basket, made it from reeds, waterproofed it with tar, and placed her precious baby inside. She laid the basket into the river, and she prayed. If this part of the story moves you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more. Miriam, now a young girl, watched from the reeds. Her eyes never left the basket. And that's when a miracle happened. Batya, Pharaoh's daughter, came down to the river. She noticed the basket. Something told her to pull it from the water. At first she couldn't reach it. It was too far. Since she reached out, God did the rest. It was a miracle. Her arm stretched long enough to reach the basket. Inside was a baby, crying, tiny, beautiful, holy. She knew it was a Jewish child. She knew her father wanted every baby like this to die. But Batya, she was different. She took the baby in her arms and said, I will raise this child as my own. If you're amazed by how Moses was saved, tap the like button. It helps us share more powerful stories like this. Just then, Miriam stepped forward, brave, quick thinking. Should I get a Hebrew woman to nurse him for you? She asked. Batya nodded. And who did Miriam bring? The baby's very own mother, Jochebed. God had worked a miracle. Not only was Moses saved, but he would be nursed and raised by his real mother for the early years of his life. When he was older, Jochebed brought him back to the palace, and Batya named him Moses, which means drawn from the water. But did you know? Moses had 10 names. His father Amram called him Hever. His mother Jochebed called him Yakutil. His sister Miriam named him Jeruel, and his brother Aaron called him Avi Zanuash. His grandfather Kehat called him Avigdor, and the people of Israel called him Tuviah. Some even called him Shemaiah or Ben Abiatar. But the name that stuck, the one God himself used, was Moses. A few years had passed. When Moses was still a little child in the palace, Pharaoh sat him on his lap. The boy reached out and grabbed Pharaoh's golden crown and placed it on his own head. Pharaoh's advisors panicked. This child is dangerous, they said. He may be the one to overthrow you. Others weren't so sure. He's just a baby, they argued. Let's test him. So they brought 2 bowls, one with shiny gold and one with burning coals. If the boy reached for the gold, it would show cleverness and danger. If he reached for the coal, he was just an innocent child. Moses reached for the gold. But then an angel pushed his hand toward the coal. He picked it up and put it in his mouth. He burned his tongue and began to cry. And from that day on, Moses spoke with a stutter. He found words difficult. And when he later stood before God at the burning bush, he would say, Please, I am not a man of words. But even with this stutter, he would become the greatest leader the Jewish people ever had. The story of Moses had only just begun. He had survived Pharaoh's evil plan. He had been raised with both Egyptian royalty and Hebrew holiness. Moses grew up in the Egyptian palace, living among gold and luxury while his people were whipped and beaten outside. But he never forgot who he was. One day, as a young man, Moses went out to see what was really going on. He saw an Egyptian taskmaster hitting a Jewish slave. Moses couldn't stand it. He looked around, saw no one watching, and killed the Egyptian to save the Jew. Word got out. Pharaoh was furious. Moses had to run for his life. He had seen injustice and stood up to it. And though his tongue was burned, his heart was on fire, with courage, with truth, and with destiny. One day he would come back to Egypt, face Pharaoh, and lead the people to freedom. But that is for the next video. For now, think about this. What if Miriam hadn't spoken up? What if Batya hadn't opened the basket? What if Moses had taken the gold? Every moment mattered. Every choice shaped history. Maybe, just maybe, you have a moment like that waiting for you too. Thanks for watching. If you love this story, hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more epic stories from the Bible. Who should we tell next? What part of Moses' life are you most excited for? Tell us in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.